All right, everyone, I feel like I owe you this video. I've been talking about this for years. I think this is like our 10-year anniversary of when I stumbled upon this flooring. I bought it to cover up my failed epoxy. I didn't want it. I wasn't interested in plastic interlocking tile. So I'm 10 years into now having Swisstrax in every garage that I have built myself. And we've probably put it now in thousands of garages all over the country. That fateful day, 10 years ago when I accidentally bought it, and then my little son, Ryan, who's now as tall as me, helped click the floor together. And then, again, you've seen me do this year after year after year. This garage, we did a ton of construction. I probably should have waited to put the flooring down. I got really impatient. So we've had a lot of drywall dust, a lot of dirt and debris, and I haven't cleaned it yet. And so the thing that's telling me now it's time to clean it, if you hear this, if you hear a little crunchiness, that's when you know. There's sand and dirt and debris that kind of works its way under the tiles. I wash my cars in here, so it's that tells me it's time to pull it out in the driveway and clean it. There's a few common misconceptions about the flooring. These are the same misconceptions I had when I was buying this. And the first and most common, I hear people yelling from the treetops about this, is dirt. This is Ribtrax Pro, and so it's rounded. It's the tile I recommend. I do not recommend you do the Ribtrax Smooth. The Smooth doesn't give you the main benefit, which you get from the floor tiles, which is that the dirt falls underneath it. And I'm gonna show you. My guess is we're gonna fill up half a bucket of the dirt that's underneath the floor here. But the magic of this is that the dirt falls down underneath the tile, and I know that's hard to comprehend for us obsessed people, but it falls underneath the tile and it stays clean all the time. So it's clean. I mean, right here, there's a little zip tie here. I didn't promise I didn't put that there for the video, but the tiles stay clean, especially when you do a gray. Even the white has quite a bit of dirt on it, but you can then manage the dirt, vacuum it up through the tile, or pull it out in the driveway and sweep underneath it. And you can do that once a year, once every couple of years, depending on what you're doing in your garage. So that's the first misconception, is dirt. The common question is rolling. Now these are pretty big casters, but you can roll your creepers, your stools, you can roll, desk chairs, but floor jacks, stuff rolls on it pretty easily. Even on the non-smooth, or this is the regular Ribtrax Pro, you can roll around on the tile and not have an issue with wheels. I roll my floor jack, I'll roll, again, I've had Swisstrax in my office where I had a desk chair. You can see I've got, this is a pretty stout, but my big AC hydraulic jack here, which I have for my Bronco. But if you see, I gotta figure out, this thing's kind of noisy, but it does roll around. Now, depending on the type of jack, depending on the vehicle you're jacking up, you do need to be careful. I lifted up my Bronco, which is probably 6,000 pounds, and it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little divot in my tile. It's right here. So I did damage one of the tiles here from jacking that AC hydraulic jack and jacking my 6,000 pound vehicle. But generally, the floor jacks, most floor jacks are going to be okay. If you're concerned with damaging a tile, because these are pretty expensive, what you can do is just pop it up, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So this is a common question, and it is accurate. Kneeling on this is not ideal, right? So if I'm gonna be like working in my car, I either need to get flat, and I got bony knees, but kneeling is not something I would recommend. And so what you're gonna want is some sort of pad. I have a couple of them. You're gonna make fun of me here. I have one from Geon, and then I have one from Target, my Target pad. And so you're gonna want some sort of a foam pad in order to do some kneeling. I have these two. One of them was a little bit bigger. I was just used this the other day when I was working on the clutch pedal on my E92 M3. And so if I just have some sort of foam pad, that can solve that issue there. Another question has to do with nuts and bolts and screws and dropping. So if I can find something small here, like a normal, so let's say a normal size screw, I'll do this zinc plated just so you can see it a little bit better for the camera. But let's say I'm working on here and I accidentally knocked it off. The screws, most are not gonna fall through. All right, so this screw is pretty small, but not tiny. So most aren't gonna fall through. And so the nice thing about this is when I drop it, it actually doesn't bounce or roll, you know, underneath a, you know, car or underneath the cabinet array. So if I have a bunch of screws and I were to drop some washers and stuff, generally your stuff is going to stay in position. It's not gonna bounce and roll. Now, occasionally, every so often, let's see, this washer here is a little too big, but you'll have a washer, or you'll have a really tiny screw that will fall under the tile. The nice thing about it generally is it's pretty easy to find, and then I would use a floor tile popper and pop it up. There's gonna be 1% of screws that you drop. I don't know how many screws you're dropping every day, but there's 1% that would fall under the tile. Let's see if I can find one small enough to fall. Let's see this little black one here. Let's see if that'll fall. That's a tiny little one. Let's see if that'll fall underneath. Nope, it's still too big. I mean, in this whole bucket here, I don't think I have a single thing that's small enough to fall under the tile. That's pretty telling. Maybe this little, I think it's still gonna be too big. Nope, not even close. Shoot. Oh, here's a little rivet. That's a rivet underneath there. So, if that tells you anything, most things are going to fall on the floor and be easy to find. All right, the last misconception or common question is, what do you do about oil? I'm about to do this for you. I'm gonna dump some oil on the floor here. Happens to me often, change the oil and it splatters out of the pan, or I didn't get the pan in the right spot and it falls and drips into the tile. Here's some AMSOIL 5W30 and I accidentally dripped it on the floor. Pretty common, right? Oh shoot, I didn't want to do that much. And so now, what I would generally have is a ripping rag. So I'd have a towel and I'm gonna pop this tile up and clean it, which is annoying. And so what I'll attempt to do is I'll attempt to avoid spilling if possible. I would advise you, if you are a high volume shop, if you're in a position where you're constantly dropping transmissions and brake fluid and radiators, you probably don't want this in that area. But what I would generally do is I'd take some brake cleaner, I'd hit the top of the tile, I'd wipe the surface with a microfiber ripping rag. I'm gonna take my tile popper that our friend Sean from Saskatchewan makes for us. I'm gonna find the spot on the tile where it will pop, right there. And I'm gonna pop up whatever tiles I need to clean up the mess I just made. I don't think I've ever put oil on the floor on purpose, but look how much dirt and debris and nastiness is underneath here. It's crazy. I'm excited to get my floor clean. Come over here, and then I'm just gonna clean my floor like I would if I didn't have Swisstrax. Dang, I dumped a lot of oil there. That was not smart. I'm gonna need a garbage can for this deal. How many minutes are we in here? Didn't take that long. What I would do here, I'd pull this tile up too. Clean under here. Gosh, there's all kinds of crap under here. So clearly I spilled some oil here before. That's it. I'll take my towel, pop it back into position. 3 minutes and you're clean. Done. So my normal maintenance process, I would use my Obsessed Garage vacuum. You could use a shop vac, a Husky vac, whatever you have. You just want something flat. And so what I use is this little guy here, which works really well. We have this in the store, but this is a really flat type of floor cleaner. And I put this on my vacuum. And so my normal maintenance cleaning would look like this. Again, you don't have to have this fancy system, but I would just go through like I would clean my normal tile floor. You just suck up the dirt right up through the tile. It'll get like 90% of the dirt up, but generally unnecessary for you to do very often, maybe once every few months, just to keep the floor clean. So what I'm gonna use Bilt Hamber Surfex HD. which is a all-purpose cleaner degreaser. We're going to use this in a foam cannon. I've got my Mosmatic surface cleaner, and this actually works two ways. Right now it's set up to clean the underside of my vehicle, and then it has a little clip here where this is a good tool to have, especially if you're up north and you're getting all kinds of salt and dirt and crap in the winter. I'm going to put this on my dual Krenza pressure washer setup. I have the right nozzles on this, so we'll use this. And then of course I have my floor tile popper. And then what I'm thinking I'm going to do is pull out large sections of the floor, and then I'm gonna spray it with Surfex. I'm gonna use a broom and just scrub it. That's what my plan is. So let's do it. All right, so the way that I put the flooring in is we start on the garage door, and then the pegs, or the loops, and we lay the pegs on top. So that makes it a little more difficult to pull it out here. But what I'm gonna do is find the spot I'm going to pull, which is right at the white. And so what I have to do is I have to lift this section up here to get this to come out, which is going to be a little bit tedious. This tile popper is clutch. All right. Once you break it free, one guy can grab and pull the whole darn floor straight out. You can break it into smaller sections to make it a little easier, but it's the advantage of a floating floor. Maybe I should just do my whole driveway. So before I start cleaning, what I want to do, I want to sweep up most of this mess. It'd be kind of cool to see how much dirt total is under here. So remember, the floor looks clean. This is what's under it. Out of sight, out of mind. It's not causing any kind of dust. You can vacuum the lion's share of this up through the tile if you want to. But, and remember, I'm Mr. Obsessed here. Apparently self-proclaimed. And I mean, this makes your garage experience so much better. Otherwise, I feel like I have to vacuum it every couple of days, sweep it every couple of days. Dang, that's a lot of dirt. Look at this. The whole garage is gonna be a bucket. This is gonna make people lose their mind. I can't believe that you can stand all that dirt. I'm telling you, it disappears. I could fill a wheelbarrow full of dirt and this floor would sop it up. That's the best part of the whole thing. So multiply that times 3, quite a bit of dirt, eh? All right, so the other thing that will help is if you have some sort of pressure washer to do this. I'm gonna be doing, these are 2 pressure washers. I'm only at 1,000 PSI. This is where dialing for car cleaning kind of works against you in that I have this tuned to 1,000 PSI. Now I'm gonna put a 25-degree nozzle on here to help me out a little bit. But let's just try some different processes here to clean this up. First thing I'm gonna do, let's mix up some Surfex, some all-purpose cleaner. So we're gonna do 10%, and this is 1,000, so if I put 100 milliliters in here, brand new gallon. We're gonna run this through the foam cannon, so it's actually gonna dilute it quite a bit. So I think for this purpose, I'm just gonna do 50-50. Because when I run it through the foam cannon, it's gonna dilute it further. And I want this to be aggressive. We're not gonna damage plastic. Now, you don't need a foam cannon for this. You could just dilute this, put it in a spray bottle, and do the same thing. But I think having the foam will be nice to have. So I'm more like 2/3 product in here. See, I like the idea of the foam because it gets underneath it as well. We just do that. And then what I'm planning on doing is taking my broom. It's a little stiff. I don't know about the white. So then I got my 25-degree nozzle on here. Oh yeah, yeah, cleaning up nicely. Nice, looks good. I think it'd be more beneficial if you had higher horsepower. Can you see that? See, this is a little yellow dirty, and that's pretty darn clean. I'd say darn near close to new. Let's do the white again. I think, again, unless you have a giant garage, what does it hurt to just spend a few minutes and doing small sections, just really deep cleaning it. The Surfex doesn't have any kind of nasty smell or anything. It's like, makes the process a little less caustic than what I'm typically used to with a degreaser. Well, this is a real luxury here that most of you aren't gonna have, but just wanted to see, because this is great to have for your car. And so if you have some dual purpose for it, you might be able to justify. This thing is crazy expensive, but it's pretty freaking cool. The quality of this thing is insane. I like how much work this is doing to underneath the tiles. Try to these non-agitated tiles down here, see if my agitation even does anything. But just so you can see, it doesn't sound like it's doing much, but it is. I think this would be much more useful for like built-on gunk from the winters that we don't have here. I mean, the gray always looks good, but that white looks like restored. These are the ones that I didn't scruff. I guess it looks pretty much the same. So I think the procedure would be 25-degree nozzle, even at 1,000 PSI. So if you had more pressure, even better. I want to sell you one of the surface cleaners, but for this project, I'd skip it. And so 25-degree nozzle, foam cannon, Bilt Hamber Surfex, diluted, say 50-50, or maybe 2/3 to 1. I think that's the way to go. So let's see what it looks like underneath here. Yeah, I mean, the bottom side looks clean too. It's good. That's the cleaning procedure. So that's what you would do if you didn't have access to an infinite supply of Swisstrax. So come check this out. I may or may not have sold all of this Swisstrax because it's not new and fresh. And I figured since we did the ultimate Rousseau garage cabinets and I'm sort of uncompromising here, I kind of wanted brand new fresh tiles because we did a lot of construction on this, so it feels a little bit used. And I'm in the love it business these days, the perfect it business. So now I understand not everyone can do this, so I was able to sell this at my cost, which is still a great deal to the guy who bought it. And then I can buy that and just do a direct replacement. So I'm gonna box all this up and put fresh new in. I'm not gonna cut new edges, but I'm gonna clean the edges up, but I have to admit, I'm doing this for you guys. So give me a little bit of credit. I'm doing the work for you. I'm sweating through my shirt. It's a freaking 100 degrees, and I'm showing you how to clean it, so give me a little bit of credit. All right, so we started the project at noon. It's 1:48, and so as you can see, it goes pretty quick, especially if you're not making cuts. So I cleaned all the cuts there. That side was a full tile. So again, even though I'm swapping out the floor here, which you wouldn't do, it goes pretty fast. I mean, another 15 minutes or so and we'll have this sucker put together. But I feel great that my floor is clean and refreshed and brand new. It's gonna be great. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. It should take you, 2 or 3 hours to clean your floor, or in my case, OG spec version of clean your floor. But man, this feels good. My cabinets are done, my flooring's done, lighting's good. I'm gonna finish a couple of drawers and then my garage is dialed. So I'm glad you've been on this journey with us. And Swisstrax is something I think kind of makes the garage, finishes it off. So hit us up if we can help with it. Thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. I get it, I look ridiculous, but it's the work is worth the payoff. This garage, it's awesome. Time to move. See you soon.